Welcome to the Genius Way Show with your host, Ben Hummel. The aim of this show is to provide education, encouragement, and insights for people who are on their own personal development journeys. As a psychotherapist, teacher, author, and creator of the Genius Way process, Ben will focus on identifying common challenges to living a purposeful life, and will share valuable psychological and spiritual tools to help you make healthy and empowering life changes. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey friends, welcome to the Genius Way Show. I'm your host, Ben Hummel. It's great to be with you here again this week. And let's start out with this one. If you're on a path that has no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere. Okay? Pretty big statement. If you're on a path that has no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere. And that's a quote by Frank A. Clark. And so today we're going to be talking about how the obstacle is the path, how the obstacle is the way of things. It's an old stoic idea from Stoicism philosophy, Marcus Aurelius. But let's really dig into that today. You know, what does it mean that the obstacle is the path? So the first thing I want you to think about here is maybe as a kid or maybe, you know, in the military or something, you've been through an obstacle course of some sort. And the obstacle course that I'm thinking about is, you know, stepping through a bunch of consecutive tires, running through that, crawling through a pipe, going over a stream, crawling up a wall and over it, all those different obstacles that, you know, seem like, whoa, I encountered this thing and then it's going to make me want to stop. It's going to make me want to have a challenge, or I'm going to, you know, this is in my way, you know, so that's kind of what an obstacle means. Something is obstructing my movement forward. But if you look at the obstacle course, it's not meant to hurt us. It's not meant to stop us. In fact, it is the thing that gives us skills to deal with those specific obstacles in the future. And so a lot of us can see our whole lives as an obstacle course of sorts. You know, one thing after the other, getting in our way, getting in front of us to stop us from making our movement forward. When, you know, the reality of these obstacles is that they're there to make us stronger. They're there to give us specific skills, to develop a specific skill set that we're going to need in the future, that basically makes us an expert at doing that certain thing. Okay, so let's say, for instance, one of the obstacles in your life, let's say you've had a difficult relationship that you had to get out of, one way or the other. Either you had to break it off or they broke it off and it was heartbreaking, or, you know, whatever those combination of circumstances. So what did you take away from that? Hopefully it's something. So let's say somebody broke your heart, somebody left you, and, you know, you got to face the obstacle of, wow, I'm devastated. I've had this big loss. I'm grieving the relationship. Also in that circumstance is your ability to move through a loss out of necessity. And however you did that, something was learned, even though it was intensely painful. And even though you would never have chosen it, life presented that to you. And through that experience, you gained hopefully some insight, some skills, some self-reliance, some clarity about how to choose in the next relationship, and so on and so forth. So the obstacle becomes the instruction. The thing that gets in our way, the challenge, becomes the exact thing that develops the skill in us, right? And so that's why, you know, Frank A. Clark, if you're on a path that has no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere, means if you never get challenged to overcome something or to kind of move through something and develop some other kind of quality, you know, nothing's learned, nothing's gained. It's kind of been a waste of time. So I'm not saying that our lives have to be difficult. There are, an equal amount of beautiful, non-obstacle type experiences that we have, as well as the type that present themselves as obstacles. And we need that for a balance. But I guess my point today is that obstacles are not to be avoided. And so I want to help you guys see obstacles in a slightly different way than you have, maybe, right? So the idea today is the obstacle is the path. In other words, I confront something that stops me, and instead of just saying, okay, I'm done, I'm going to go home and that's it for me, I'm going to find what this obstacle is trying to teach me. I'm going to find what this obstacle, what skills this obstacle is designed to bring out in me. I'm going to also find the expertise that's going to be gained by confronting this obstacle day in, day out, while I'm going through whatever this is. So I hope that's clear. I hope you don't see this as my life has to be one obstacle after the next, and then my life is all about suffering. No, that's not what I'm talking about. So we do confront obstacles, and we do see that these obstacles at times are very, very challenging. And we're kind of left many times when we face an obstacle, we're left with the fact that I've got to deal with this. I don't want to, but here it is. I've got to face this. I've got to move through this. And the more we can do that in a conscious way, the better it is. So I want you to think about it this way. Remember in your life, sometime in the not too distant past, where you were facing an obstacle, you were facing a challenge, a difficulty that you were just kind of just pulling your hair out. How am I going to deal with this? What am I going to do about this? And from the angle and the trajectory that you were looking at it from, you were saying, this is impossible. This shouldn't be my lot in life. This shouldn't be happening. Damn it, I have to deal with this. Oh, and it was really, really bad. Okay. But now you're through it. Just want you to remember something like that. Okay. Now you're through it. So I want you to look back and see the choreography of your life and you having to deal with that obstacle, right? Deal with that difficulty that was thrown right in your path and how you got out of it. So if you look at it, that chaotic mess that you were in, it turned into something else that eventually led to where you are today, which is in a better place. You learn something from it. You develop some skills. You learn more about yourself and your resiliency. And now when you think about that thing, even though you don't ever want that to happen again, if it did, you would be dealing with it from a completely different place. Okay, again, let's use our example of a relationship gone bad or gone wrong or gone astray, however you want to say it. Whatever you went through at that time, having to deal with that and go through all of the emotional and maybe financial and physical attributes of that breakup, now you know more about yourself. You know more about, maybe I chose the wrong type of person with the wrong qualities. Maybe I put up with more than I should have. Hopefully from then, you're in a better place now with a better set of skills and tools to live your life, right? And without that obstacle, without that difficulty, you wouldn't have them. Okay, so right now, whatever you're facing right now, let's say you're facing a difficulty, an obstacle right now, in a few years, maybe a month, maybe somewhere a little down the road, you're going to be able to look back at this exact time and say the same thing. Oh, that's what was happening. That's what I didn't see at the time. And now I see how it all worked out. Remember, you're in the middle of one of those right now. You're in the middle of a circumstance that you're going to look back on and say, oh, I see now. I see why that happened. And you know this because you can look back at the rest of your life and see that that actually was the case. So remember, no matter where you are or what's happening, you're in the middle, even if it feels like you're in the middle of a chaotic situation, you're going to be able to, with the insight that you gain from it, look back and say, ah, I see. So don't forget, that's working for you right now. In this chaos, there is a choreography, there's an order to this working out in a certain way that benefits you, that helps you to develop your life, helps you to be a more genuine and more kind of effective human being in dealing with whatever you have in your life, both, positive and negative. So that's happening right now. Don't forget that. That's a really beautiful thing. I'm going to do an exercise like that. Maybe this show, maybe another show, but that's a really good one. So what I want you to do right now, take a look at this short video just about the idea of the obstacle being the path, the obstacle being the thing that transforms us. And I will see you on the other side, and we'll continue with this.
Have you ever pondered about the role of obstacles in our lives? Are they just barriers that prevent us from reaching our goals, or do they serve a greater purpose? This video explores the profound idea that the obstacle is the path, and that overcoming challenges can drive personal growth and lead to success. Consider a seed. It's buried deep in the earth, surrounded by darkness and pressure from all sides. But does it remain there? No. It uses the very soil that encloses it, the very obstacle that confines it, to nourish itself. It pushes through the dirt, growing stronger with every inch it ascends, until it eventually breaks through the surface into the light. That tiny seed becomes a mighty tree, all because it embraced the obstacle and used it as a means to grow. Now consider the story of Thomas Edison. He was told by his teachers that he was too stupid to learn anything. He was fired from his first 2 jobs for being unproductive. Even as an inventor, Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. But did he view these failures as insurmountable obstacles? No, he saw each failure as a stepping stone towards success. Each unsuccessful attempt was a lesson, leading him closer to the solution. And eventually, he did succeed. He turned his obstacles into opportunities, and in the process, he illuminated the world. And then there's the story of J.K. Rowling, who went from being a single mother on welfare to one of the best-selling authors of all time. Her journey was not without obstacles. She was rejected by 12 major publishers before Bloomsbury Publishing decided to give her a chance. But Rowling didn't let the rejection stop her. She used them as fuel to keep going, to keep improving, and look where that got her. Her Harry Potter series has sold over 400 million copies worldwide. So what do these stories teach us? They show us that obstacles aren't necessarily barriers to our success. Instead, they can be catalysts for growth, opportunities to learn and improve. The obstacle is the path. It is through facing and overcoming our challenges that we become stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more successful. In summary, this video has explored the idea that the obstacle is the path. It has provided examples of how overcoming obstacles can lead to personal growth and success. It has shown that the solution is often found in the problem, and that the answer is provoked by the question. It is the hope that these stories inspire you to view your own obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth and success. Remember, the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it.
Yeah, so you can see that an obstacle all by itself is not a bad thing. Eventually, I know in the moment it feels bad, it feels like, something is going wrong, but ultimately, it is there to bring out something inherent in us that we don't currently know that we have. So here's another one. Try this one out for size. If the path before you is clear, then it's probably someone else's. Okay, so that's Carl Jung. And I would say, Carl, you're getting a little snippy, a little sarcastic here. If the path before you is clear, it's probably someone else's. Okay, thank you, Carl. But, it's pretty true, isn't it? Because, everyone's path, even though it looks like to us from the outside that, look at that person, their path is clear, and everyone certainly has obstacles, certainly has things in their path that they need to kind of, navigate in order to gain the skills that they need. And what I'm here to tell you is that you can become really good at navigating the obstacles in your path. That could be one of your skills that you develop. It's like seeing an obstacle not as a problem, but just as a situation, an opportunity to learn and grow. Okay? That doesn't mean that you're driving down the road and you blow out a tire and you skid to a stop by the side of the freeway that you're going to be happy about it. You don't need to be happy. You know what I mean? It's okay. That sucks. All right, here I am stuck on the side of the highway. But from there, what you do with it while you're experiencing this obstacle, this difficulty, is what makes the difference in terms of what your personal experience is, right? So you can meet that in any certain way, you know. And one of the ways to meet with obstacles is like, okay, here's that thing, you know, I have to meet this in a way where all of my current skills are available to me, you know. And certainly, you know, let's talk about that example. Okay, I'm driving down the road, my tire blows out, I'm at the side of the road, and I'm very, very angry that I'm in this situation. Okay, when we get angry, let's say it was a trigger to, oh God, the world's against me. The trigger means you have, you know, had this experience. It reminds you of something else that happened in the past, or that's happened a few times in your past. We kind of contract around that earlier experience, and at that moment, all we have are the skills that we had when the first incident happened. So let's say you felt stuck at some point when you were 10 years old. When you're angry because of that, you know, tire blowing out, you contract around this smaller state of experience, and then you have all the skills you had when you're 10 years old in that moment, right? So staying with the anger is not the smart thing to do. It's to realize, all right, damn it, I blew a tire out. I'm in this dangerous situation. I'm not happy about it. I'm angry. I'm triggered. And now what to do? So it's the ability to move out of that trigger so that you are your present age self and that you have all the skills you have at your disposal right now, right? And so what do? You call a family member or a friend, you call AAA, whatever it is, you do something about it, and you have an experience from there. Your experience of what you're going to do when you have that blowout is not written in stone. It hasn't happened yet. You know, you might meet someone who's driving the truck that's going to be a huge influence and positive influence on your life and change everything. You just don't know. But the best way to approach it is, I'm going to be open here. I'm going to put myself in the safest situation I can. I'm going to be open, and I'm going to assume that this obstacle, this experience, is here for my growth and development. There's nothing wrong with assuming that. That's not putting lipstick on a pig or, you know, polishing a turd. You know, assuming that an obstacle is there for your development is a safe bet. You know, it doesn't mean that you're just wanting to be positive. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be upset. But realize from all of the things that you've experienced in your past, every one of the obstacles, every one of the challenges that you've had, if you've met it, has made you stronger and deeper and more complex and more interesting of a human being, you know, with lots of skills that you can, you know, use in the rest of your life going forward, that'll help you kind of move through things in a much more easeful way. So if any of you have seen the Karate Kid movies, you'll see that in the students' training, there's that whole thing of waxing the car or sanding the fence or any number of things that seem like mundane tasks. And to the student, to Daniel in the movie, they seem like useless tasks and maybe an obstacle to learning karate. So he's out there waxing a car, sanding a fence, painting a fence, let's say. And meanwhile, those obstacles, those impediments to his learning karate actually were training him to actually do that martial art. So you got to see, the things that are happening to you, the obstacles that you're encountering, the chores, the things that seem like a pain in the butt to you. They're training you to be better at the things that are going to make you happy and skillful in your life, but it's just not an obvious thing. You have to kind of deliberately look at the things that you're doing, the obstacles that you're overcoming, to see how beneficial they actually are, So we all kind of have this ideal, this kind of image of a life of ease, a life without obstacles, a life without trouble or problems. But, I don't think there's ever been a human being who literally lived that way. Out of the trillions and zillions of human beings, every one of them, just like you and me, have had problems, have had obstacles to deal with. And the way we approach those obstacles made all the difference in how we lived our lives. And so I want to invite you to think about this in this way. My obstacles, in a way, even though momentarily they feel like a punishment, they feel like, like the world is against me, the universe is against me. For some weird reason that, again, I didn't make up, you didn't make it up, our difficulties, our obstacles, or our gifts come in the form of these obstacles most of the time. And they're there because we as humans are meant to develop as we live. From cradle to the grave, we're meant to continually develop and fill in this form of what we were meant to be individually as people. And that's what I call the genius. The genius is the form that we're meant to take in or to fill in as we live and grow and develop and create this life for ourselves and the people around us. So your genius comes into play here when dealing with obstacles in how are you going to respond to this difficulty? When I say your genius, what I'm talking about is your set of inborn skills, gifts, callings, way of seeing the world, way of kind of approaching things that is uniquely yours. And as you kind of fill in this form of your genius of, living out what you brought here with you and expressing it, the difficulties that you're presented with show up as an opportunity for you to express your genius, for you to approach this difficulty in your own way. And it's really wild and creative and fun if you can do it. Okay. So again, one last time, I'm going to say it for all you people who might be thinking that I'm saying, just put a positive spin on everything. No, I'm a psychotherapist and I know that doesn't work. Okay. We have to feel what we feel. And sometimes our lives suck. They just do. And we have really hard things that happen to us. Illnesses, deaths, losses. I know all that. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm saying is that as these things happen in our lives, it will happen to every single person. Every single person will lose a loved one, will go through some kind of illness, will gain or lose money. Every single person in some way. We are not isolated in that. And as we do, initially, it can feel really bad. Okay? But developing that extra skill to see that a difficulty is a way to learn, to deepen, to grow, and to develop, to learn that extra little piece, that's what makes our humanity even more beautiful. That's what makes our lives even that more rich. When we can bring in that extra little skill of saying, okay, yeah, this sucks, this is hard, but I'm going to use this opportunity, this difficulty, this obstacle, and follow what it wants to teach me as I move through it and overcome it. That's going to change me for the better, and that's going to prepare me to have a much more meaningful and fulfilling life in the future. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a short commercial break. And on the other side of that commercial, I'm going to share a guided visualization with you to show you how to turn an obstacle into an opportunity and to kind of emerge with a deeper insight into what's actually happening in your life. So let's check this out, and I'll see you on the other side.
Ben Hummel's writing comes from a deep well of experience, practice, and wisdom. The Genius Way teaches you the life skills you need to find your own unique genius. Summoning Genius helps readers to turn a midlife crisis into an opportunity for personal growth. You can find Ben's books on thegeniusway.com, Amazon, and most online booksellers.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and then deeply exhale. Imagine that you're walking along in the woods. You're on a path that you know very well. It's a cool autumn afternoon, but the sun is shining, and you can see the light filtering through the leaves above you that are turning various shades of red, orange, and gold. You're taking a path that leads to your home, and after a long day of walking, you're looking forward to arriving at your place and having a well-deserved rest. Now, as you turn a corner in the path, you become aware of a large object that is completely blocking your path. What is this object? How does it feel to be blocked from the path that takes you to your home? And now I want you to see that the object in your way represents something in your life that seems to be blocking you from feeling happy and fulfilled. Without trying, this object on your path takes the shape of that thing that is blocking you in your life. What does this object transform into? See how this element of your life seems to be holding you back from doing or being something that is important to you. How exactly is this element holding you back or blocking you? Now, allow an insight to emerge in your awareness as to how you can approach what's blocking you in your life in a different way. You don't have to search for the insight because it appears all by itself. What do you see? Now you can see that instead of blocking or stopping you, this element on your path is actually redirecting you in a way around itself that allows you to keep moving. It shows you a way that you would never have thought about without its seeming interference. This is how the obstacle becomes the path. You allow what's blocking you to provide the exact solution for you to keep moving. And now, with this experience fully intact in your awareness, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. And so how was that visual for you? I hope you were able to see how when you are allowing an obstacle to actually be an indicator of what needs to be done next, or what needs to be pulled out of you, to come forth from you, that it can actually change your trajectory of your life. And it actually can be a really beautiful experience to know how to pull those resources out of yourself. So I have an example of an obstacle that I've been going through. I just bought a house and needed to be completely remodeled. And one of the things we had to do is replace a sewer line. And what that entailed was to dig 2 extremely deep holes to get down to the sewer in the yard and replace the line and then fill the holes back in. The only problem is I was having trouble getting the plumbers to come back and fill in the holes. And no matter what I did, something kept getting in the way. Either it was raining torrentially, or something would happen with the pipe and it would break and have to be redone. Just one thing after the other. So literally the definition of an obstacle. And I got to the point, and tell me if you've experienced this, I got to the point where I just kind of had to laugh, because I recognized that feeling that I get when I try everything I possibly can to do it in my own way, forcing it, and then it just doesn't work, and you keep running into the same obstacle. So I felt, okay, I just have to laugh here, and I've got to approach this in a different way. I've got to readjust my timing here. Well, if the holes don't get filled in, they don't get filled in, and I will focus on something else. And as soon as I did, and I shifted my idea and my expectation, of course, it got taken care of. And this is more the rule than the exception when this happens. So, what I want you to be aware of is I want you to try to recognize that feeling when you kind of just have to laugh. Okay, I've been here before, and hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about here. I've been here before, and it's so ridiculous that I can't get past this obstacle that I just have to laugh. That's when you know I need to come at this in a different way. I need to pull out a resource from myself that I haven't previously used for this particular thing, and I need to see it in a different way. And without that obstacle, without those holes not being filled in for me, I never would have had to shift and change the way that I was looking at it, and entertain a different idea and a different sequence of things. So that's my own little example, just recently. And, I'm sure I'll get plenty more chances and opportunities to practice this very thing, that the obstacle is the path. The obstacle is the thing that points you in the direction where you need to go next. And you can't push your way through it. You just have to allow it to change you in a certain way to entertain a different way of seeing it and a different way of moving forward. Okay, so we are going to take another short commercial break, and when I return, I will send you off with some inspiration about the obstacle is the path.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Sevilla, your host of Pivot Now. Join us on E360 TV every Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Pivot Now.
It's never fun to encounter an obstacle while we're trying to move forward in our lives. It can feel like an unnecessary setback to our progress and success, but since facing obstacles is more the norm than the exception, it's important to start seeing them in a different way. When we can begin to see obstacles as necessary instructors that are put in our path to mature and deepen our life skills, at least part of us can be present to the opportunity for growth and personal development that they provide. And so, the obstacle becomes our path of awakening. And that's our show for this week. I'm really happy you stopped by to spend this time with me. I enjoy spending it with you. And I'm going to remind you that, you're not a genius. No, I'm not kidding. You're not a genius. And you don't need to be. You have a genius. You have a fund of expressive energy that comes right from the universe, right from existence. All you need to do is be that much of yourself. So you're not a genius, but you have one. Maybe you are a genius. I don't know, but let's just say you're not. You have a genius, and that's all that's important. You have that thing that is necessary for you to express yourself to an extent where you have a fulfilling life. So until next week, I want to remind you to be curious and be kind to yourself. And remember that your genius has something to say.
Thanks for watching The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummel. Make sure to visit thegeniusway.com for the resources you need to help you on your personal life journey. You can contact Ben at ben@thegeniusway.com. And you can follow The Genius Way with Ben Hummel on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for streaming The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummel.